Stop believing that you needed that you need to continue to ignore the childhood dreams that you've had, right? If you were a child that loved to paint, but then the usual excuse is, you already know, I've had children, so once I had children, then I couldn't do it anymore. No. Stop lying to yourself. That's what it is. You're lying to yourself. Because I bet you, if your boss, right, if your boss told you, hey, I'm gonna need you to paint for 30 minutes every day, or dance for 30 minutes every day, make music for 30 minutes every day, whatever it is that you liked doing as a child, I'm gonna need you to do that for 30 minutes every day, or you can't keep this job. Suddenly, you find the time, right? Suddenly, you start waking up early. Suddenly, you start becoming much more regimented in the time that you are not at work, right? Suddenly, you have this extra willpower to do what it is that you felt like you've needed to do or wanted to do since a child. And why? Why should we punish ourselves in that way? To say, I am not worthy of living out or doing the activity that I've loved doing since a child. Why would we do that to ourselves? It's not fair. Not even with good reason do we do that to ourselves. You know, I may understand, you know, if you're physically disabled, then that may be one of the few exceptions, but even still, you know, there's ways around everything. There's ways through everything. You know, there's ways to reverse every illness, but we're not gonna get on that, right? Because, you know, this channel is still small, so yeah, we're gonna leave that topic there. But if you know, you know, right? There's ways to reverse every illness, every ailment, right? With few exceptions. So stop letting your inner child be ignored, right? If you've loved painting trains since, like toy trains, since a kid, why should you stop? Because it doesn't make you money? Okay, so make the money and then go home and paint your trains. What's the... If you've always wanted to sing, but then you've had quadruplets, I don't know, so now you don't sing. Why? You can't run a few scales right before bed, 10 minutes before bed, 10 minutes in the car, right? Dropping your kids off to school, you can't run some scales. Why? Because your kids won't shut up? Okay, teach them how to shut up. Teach your kids how to be children instead of badass kids, and then run your scales while you're driving. I mean, there's ways around everything. But then this, I feel like this is a part of, or this is for a specific collective, because that has to do with self-value. You know, I don't feel like there's a way to truly value yourself and also ignore what your childhood self loved doing. No, that's like your primordial inclination, right? That is what you've always loved doing. So I think we need to become much more mindful of what to place importance on and how do we manage our time. You know, there's only so many hours in a day, so we can use at least a few minutes every day to feed our spirit, right? Feed our connection to the aspect of ourselves that is closest to God, our childhood self. Even the Bible says something, and you don't need to believe in the Bible, but this is just one reference. The Bible even says something about unless you are converted into children or come as children, then you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, I'm not talking about a heaven up in the sky after you die. I'm talking about a psychological heaven that you create here on earth, right? Just like you could create a psychological hell. Wow, that kind of just came to me. Think about the type of life that you create while ignoring your inner child. You create a living hell. And then when you go back to regarding your inner child as your guide, as your companion, your truest companion, you start to create heaven in you. This is what this whole video is about, right? This whole message was about you beginning to create heaven in you by honoring your inner child. Wow. That is a powerful message. Well, with that said, I do hope things continue to improve for you. My name is Simbo Lumen, and I look forward to sharing something else with you very soon.